I'm Kim, and you're watching Kim Wilson TV. My channel is dedicated to helping victims of narcissistic abuse get free and stay free. Before I get going with this video, I just want to take a moment to thank our longtime friend Gordon very much for your donation to the channel's PayPal account. All donations to the channel go towards the rescuing, veterinary care, healing, and ultimately adopting out of homeless street dogs here in Vallarta. So far, together, over the last 5 or 6 months, with your help, together as a team, we have rescued and gotten adopted out 13 dogs, and everyone a really happy ending. Great team effort, guys. Thank you so much. For anyone right now that has a dog companion, I think you'd agree that having that dog over these very trying times and over the lockdown has probably been a lifesaver for you. Our dear friend Alison, and Alison's been with us since the beginning here at the channel, recently lost her dog companion, Duke. If you feel so inclined to leave an encouraging word for Alison, she'd certainly appreciate it. She's absolutely heartbroken. Allie, I just want you to know we love you, kiddo. We're thinking about you, and we are deeply sorry to hear about Duke's passing, Allie. Hope you're feeling a little better today, sweetie. Over and over again, over the years, I have been asked this question. Why doesn't the narcissist love me? Well, there's a few answers to that question, and I want to talk about that today. The first bit of information that you have to come to understand, you have to accept. Well, first of all, the question's all wrong. The question should never be, why doesn't the narcissist love me? Because this has got nothing to do with you. This is not personal. This is not about you. You were a target. You're a victim. You were never an object of love, though you most certainly were an object. The victim before you was unloved. You are unloved, and the victims yet to come will be unloved. So it's not about you. We are just players in their weird little game. We are interchangeable. So it's really not personal, though it feels like probably one of the most personal attacks you'll ever experience. In the mind of the narcissist, you are not a living, breathing human being that should be loved, fostered, and nurtured. You are just an object. So the real question is, why doesn't the narcissist love? When I really started to realize that Trevor didn't love me, but did in fact actually hate me, I didn't need to ask the question, why doesn't he love me? Because I thought I knew the answer to that question. It was because I was an epic failure, because I wasn't a good partner. I just wasn't able to get it right. I wasn't able to, make him the meals he wanted, fold the towels the way he wanted. It was me. So I didn't ask that question initially. It really isn't until we get free when we start to ask a question like that, because I know when I was in it, I believed that the reason he was so displeased with me, so disgusted by me, so fed up with me, was because it was me, and I was just an epic failure. So right out of the gate, I was very much locked on to the concept that the problem was me. If I could fix me, if I could be a better partner, if I could love him well, if I could learn how to speak appropriately or conduct myself appropriately, or at least in a manner that wasn't so upsetting, disgusting, or frustrating for him, I thought that would solve the problem. So I wasn't thinking right from the very get-go. The reason the narcissist doesn't love you is because it lacks the ability to love you. It lacks human qualities. It lacks the ability to love, to be compassionate, to be empathetic, and to be considerate. It is self-serving on all levels. Now, I've always followed the work of Dr. Robert Hare. Dr. Robert Hare heads the Behavioral Sciences Department at the University of British Columbia. He also heads the psychiatry team there. After years and years of research and earning the title of global authority on cluster Bs, Dr. Robert Hare concluded that they are not human. He has coined the term interspecies predator. Now, interspecies predator is kind of an interesting word to describe them, because they are certainly predatorial. They're certainly constantly hunting for victims and sources of supply, constantly looking for victims. I've just come to conclude that the creature was evil. absolutely evil. I saw evil. It appeared to be soulless and self-serving above and beyond anything I'd ever seen before. Secondly, I do believe the way to actually ask a question like that is to ask, why do you care? Oh my God, I was absolutely wallowing in misery when I first got free from Trevor, when I had executed my exit strategy, when I was free once and for all. That's when it really hit me. That's when I really started to ask questions like, what more could I have done? Is this my fault? Is he right about me? Why didn't he love me? But ultimately, I had to get some control over that and started to ask the question, why do I care? I mean, why would I want someone in my life that had targeted me for no purpose other than to harm me, abuse me, potentially lead me to suicide if the creature was going to have its way? It was lying to me, it was robbing me, it was cheating on me, it was actively trying to give me an STD and did in fact admit that to me. It was absolutely horrendous from beginning to end. I was constantly put down, I was constantly made to feel bad and inferior and ashamed of myself. Why would I want someone that makes me feel that way? Why would I want that person to love me? Well, I very quickly came to realize when I started asking the right questions that, well, I wasn't dealing with a real person. I was dealing with a diabolical monster, and most certainly had no need in my life to be loved by a diabolical monster. I didn't want to live in misery. I didn't want to live on eggshells. I didn't want my home to be unsafe. I wanted to be happy. I wanted to be the best me I could be, and I wanted to do that with people in my life that cared about me, that were able to, well, exchange love and respect and admiration and, were willing to be a friend to me and be a partner to me. We just don't need horrible, rotten, mean, covert, sneaky, sabotaging people in our life. So ultimately, how I got that question answered was I changed the question and simply asked, why would I want that thing in my life? Why would I want that to love me? For me personally, feeling like I had done my best, yet had always come up short, left me feeling that possibly there was more I could do. So that created a loose end for me. I couldn't get any closure around that because there just didn't seem to be an answer to that question. And what I found in the time I spent with Trevor, and of course didn't see most of it till I got away, was there was a million loose ends. And I think when you're confronted with a lot of loose ends, no conclusions, no closure, it leaves an open wound. And it really was coming to terms with the fact that this is not for me. I don't want to be miserable. I want to be happy. I want to succeed in life. I want to live my life on a linear path. And though a linear path is going to have both successes and failures, it was a linear path, not looping in the hamster wheel from hell, just going around and around and around, playing the narcs game. I was exhausted from it. I was at saturation with it. I felt like my life had been shattered, and I just couldn't go on in it, and I didn't want to go on in it. I truly do believe that I was created in God's image, and I do not believe for 1 second that it's God's will for me to live in misery, and I don't believe it's God's will for you. As long as you continue to play the game, as long as you continue to muddy up your mind with the question, why doesn't the narcissist love me? You're avoiding acceptance, and you need to accept it. This is beyond your control. It was beyond my control. I had zero control over that situation. I had no capacity whatsoever to do anything right or to ever make Trevor love me. Trevor was incapable of love. At some point, you just gotta cut your ties and say, you know what? I can't do anything about this. I have no control over this situation. And accepting that this is beyond your control does kind of free you up and rid you of it because, well, hell, it's beyond your control. There's nothing you can do about it, so you gotta let it go. You don't get to control or manipulate or convert a narcissist into someone who is going to be a suitable or loving or wonderful partner. You just don't have that power or authority over the situation. There's nothing you can do. Your hands are tied. The only thing you can do is accept it. The thing is a fiend. That's what it is. It's a creep. It's disgusting. You gotta accept it. There is no way to fix it. There's no way to help it. There's no way to change it. It is absolutely beyond your control. So when I came to accept the fact that this has nothing to do with me, this guy's been playing this game since the beginning of time, and I'm sorry I'm using a reference to a man, because I will tell you straight up, Jezebel-spirited she-demons are in far more abundance than male narcs are, and of that I'm 100% certain. But this personal experience I'm talking about is with Trevor, and he was a man. You cannot help or fix a narcissist, but you most certainly have the power to help and fix your life from this point forward. Accept the fact that you're just unable to do anything about them. You can't fix them, you can't save them. Accept it. It's done. Accept the fact that this was never about you. You were just a pawn in their weird little game. Full stop. You're away from the narc and you're still asking the question, why didn't he love me? What you're experiencing is a soul tie, a trauma bond. You're experiencing the frustration, the sadness, that you just can't find any closure. Many of the questions that victims of narcissistic abuse have simply can't be answered. It's just completely unexplainable. It's beyond our ability to comprehend, because we are human beings. We have human qualities. We love, we have compassion, we're empathetic. They simply do not have any of those attributes. So it's almost impossible to get, well, in their shoes so you can see things as they do. It's better if you just accept it and let it go. And for me, acceptance was extremely liberating. I could then focus on what I did have control over. And once again, I truly do believe that God's been at my side throughout this entire process, and praying and turning my life and will over to God and letting God take care of these questions, letting God create the closure that I needed. I didn't need closure from the monster. I needed to find the closure within myself. And for me, the closure just came to one point, one simple fact. I don't want to live like that. Absolutely, I don't want to live like that. It was the most horrible period in my entire life. And certainly I've experienced life tragedies, but being stuck for 5 years in a situation where I just felt so bad about myself, so bad about my life, unsure, what my purpose in life was, why I was such a loser, such a failure, why I couldn't do anything right. This is not the way to be. And I didn't want to be that way. So in the end, I had to change the question. I had to get rid of the word me, and then I had to ask the question, why do I care? And when I started asking that question, that was the whole game changer right there. I really didn't care. I didn't want to go back to it. I never want to be in it again. I don't ever want to have one of those creatures in my life. So I was done, and that was it. And I didn't care. I think there are much better questions than, why doesn't the narcissist love me? Questions like, why do I care if this creature loves me? Questions like, why can't I love myself the way I love the narc? We invest so much in this horribly abusive person, this diabolical creature from just hell. They're horrible. If we were to invest even a bit of that energy into loving ourselves, I think that question would just disappear. Once you start to love yourself and treat yourself well and get yourself to a safe place where you can move on with your life, well, all the thoughts of the narcissist just start to fade away, because now you are doing something productive. You're doing something that could very well have a very happy ending, something that makes you feel fulfilled, instead of just spinning and spinning in the narcissist trap. It's absolutely horrible. And I think once you get free of it, you start to feel the frustration, the anger, the sadness, it just all starts to dissipate away, and you start to become you again. And at that point, once you're you got something to lose now. When you're with the narcissist, everything's horrible. It's like there's nothing to lose. It's all crap. But once you start to restore your life, now you feel like you've got something to lose, and you want to hang on to the progress that you've made. So for me, slipping back was never an option. If you are consumed by the question, why doesn't the narcissist love me? I'm going to go as far as to say that's probably not the real question in your mind. I'm going to go as far as to speculate that you feel that there are just so many loose ends. There has been no conclusion, there has been no closure, and you're feeling the effects of a very open, emotional, psychological, spiritual wound. That is a soul tie. That is trauma bond. That is a residual, lingering spell that this evil thing has put on you. What I did was I took all of that, I bundled it up, I handed it to God, and I asked God to please take my life and my will and please guide me through this recovery, because I don't want to feel like this anymore, and most certainly God has been at my side, and He's there. Just ask Him to help you, and He certainly will. If you find yourself wallowing in the misery of the question, why didn't the narcissist love me? Well, you can change the question. Ask yourself, why do you care? Why do you want someone who has absolutely been identified as the enemy, as someone who is sabotaging you, actively trying to harm you, someone who truly wants to see you crushed? You just don't need someone like that in your life. Ask yourself, why do you care? And if you're having a hard time, if you're really stuck, if you're really feeling an extreme soul tie or trauma bond to the creature, just roll all of that negativity up, hand it to God, and ask God to take your life and your will and guide you through this recovery. Really appreciate it if you had a moment to leave a comment, spread a little love to Allie today, let her know that we're thinking about her. Guys, I love you lots. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Kim, you're watching Kim Wilson TV, and above and beyond everything else, I hope you are having a fabulous narc-free day.